T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Let's get ready to sucker! It out into left field. It's going. It's going. It is gone.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a, what is this, Thursday edition of the YSN Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you. We got Jeff and Billy in the middle.
Why is he on a ladder? Is he insured?
You know the answer to that question. What is he doing?
Is this a TLC match?
The flux capacitor is out, he said.
Flux capacitor is out on site.
I can tell you right now that asshat would not be the first that we would let fix anything, including a flux capacitor. That is non-existent, by the way.
I can fix this easily.
Here you go. And when the building burns down later, you know why.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Our insurance just went through the roof because you're... Get down. Just because you're a janitor doesn't mean that you can fix roofs. Welcome to the YSN Power Hour. It has been a punch-drunk couple minutes here at YSN Studios because we just finished the marathon. That is the running point with Ron out, which thoughts and prayers with Ron. We have not heard any updates for Ron yet, so we have nothing to pass along to you. I know everybody's out there looking for them. However, we have some exciting news today because we have some special guests with us. One, Dennis Schiraldi, the executive producer of Do You Live, and the marketing guru of Youngstown, Ohio. He joins us, as well as Matt Seidel, who is typically on this show. You're no longer a guest, Matt, so sorry you don't get the red carpet rolled out for you. Dennis, how are you, my friend?
I am doing fantastic. It's great to be here. I know that we exchanged some messages earlier in the summer. I am super stoked. It is District 2 Little League Baseball out at Bourbon this week, and it's just absolutely so much fun. It's amazing stuff. looking forward to talking about that and hanging out with all you guys.
Absolutely, man. That's why you're here. We're going to talk youth baseball today. We're going to talk a little bit more of the NIL stuff, get the marketing side of this, and we're definitely going to talk youth sports in general. Billy's excited he's chomping at the bit. Naturally, for some reason, he's in the control seat over Jeff.
And I'll take my shot because I'm comfortable with you guys. And I know you guys like to bust balls a little bit. Like
always,
I'm actually excited to be here with all of you guys, not just DJ.
Well, that's a first. That's a first. And you might change your mind about one of those guys in the middle there before it's all said and done. So we won't hold you to that.
To completely take this off the rails, right off the rip, so we can go nowhere but up. Morton Oil on the border. I'm not getting paid to say this.
Yeah.
Gas station.
Yep.
Gas station food reviews, DJ.
Yes, sir.
Absolute, hands down, best wings in the entire Tri-County area.
I'm with you. And
That's bold.
I've had them. They're unbelievable. They're good. Billy says no.
No, they're absolutely 100% good. I mean, we've been at the park for a long time, so it's right down the road.
Yeah, Morgan Oil. That's where it's at. We're gonna have to check that out. We're supposed to do one here today, and I think I know where we're going right after this. So it's gonna be Betos is gonna be in on this one. Billy might be the camera guy. I don't know. We haven't decided who's gonna do what role, but it's a pepperoni roll, and I've heard that this pepperoni roll is the best by far at any gas station. So we'll have to check it out. We got people from all over the place. Dennis James chiming in from Las Vegas. Hello.
Yes.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
What happens in G. Burbick Studios it just stays there because you got Jeff's 7-day-old shorts that he's worn every single day.
I do not 7-day-old shorts. I washed them yesterday. I wore them last night. And I wore them today.
First single guy, Jeff does more laundry than anybody I've ever heard of.
I was going to say, I just washed it yesterday. It's clean. Okay. And again, like I'll say earlier, he's got that plaid blanket-looking
picnic table
shirt and his blue one. That's it. There's nothing else.
What?
Shout out Jeff Betos from Michael Page. Shocker. He had about 17 shout-outs in the last 3 hours. Dennis is saying, had to watch my nephew Dennis. There you go. Uncle Dennis. I love it.
The original Uncle Dennis.
The original. The OG. Well, Dennis, this is, and I don't know how often you get the chance to watch our show. We start off with the National Day. Today it is the National Freezer Pop Day. So we kind of put a twist on this. And my question to you guys is, what is the true freezer pop? And what is the best one out there, in your opinion? So it could be the bombsicle, it could be the freeze pop in the plastic tube, which it's just the juice and stuff frozen. What is the best freezer pop for you in this day and age? We'll start with you, Matt.
Yeah, so when you say freezer pop, I immediately always think of just the plastic tube with the food dye flavoring into the water, and you freeze it. Usually you've got 1,000 of them by the middle of the summer, just kind of hanging out there. But what I'm really interested in is, has anybody else seen the people that are opening them up, putting liquor in with them, and then refreezing them?
No.
This looks fantastic to me. Apparently with like a straightening iron or a curling iron, you can reseal the top of it after you put some like vodka or something in with it, shake it up, freeze it, and you're good to go.
Well,
nice
we just lost Jeff Betos.
Summer alcohol.
That's a lot of effort.
Oh my gosh. Paul, what about you? What's the freezer pop in your life?
I mean, that's it. That's the classic right there. Like Matt said, the tall, thin ones in the plastic that if you have like 5 or 6 of them, that you end up getting like a little cut on the side of your mouth because you've had like so many of them those, and if you let them melt just a little bit for a while, you get that juice at the end, and it's just like a shot of juice that you can take. Those are, when I think of freezer pops, it's those 100%. That's your childhood. You have them by the bunches in there. And everybody always wanted the fruit punch ones. At least I did. So those are my favorite.
Dennis, let's kick it over to you.
With 4 kids under the age of 12, I think I might have a little bit of knowledge on this, and I'm willing to break the rules as well. Coming off my favorite holiday, I got to go with the Rocket Pop, the red, white, and blue popsicle. Those are my favorite.
Love it. I'm a big fan too. I'm going to save these two for last because I'm sure Jeff's got something to say that's going to completely wow us. I'm with you. I like the freezer pops, But if I'm going with my favorite popsicle, it's the creamsicle, like the orange with the like, bar none, hands down. I'm taking that 100 times out of
In
100.
the toilet paper roll.
No, not the push pop. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, they had creamsicles that were in those too.
No.
though.
The creamsicle is the orange bar. Like, it's got the rounded top, but it's got the cream in the middle. You're talking about the Flintstones push pop. I would throw up. I would throw up anytime I got a stupid push pop because they were disgusting. That's not a popsicle. That's freaking sherbet. Don't dress it up.
They're bad.
They're awful. They're terrible. It's sherbet. It's not a popsicle. Like, don't cheat your kids. Jeffrey, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with Tequila Sunrise. Freezer
What?
pop. I'm gonna make my own Tequila Sunrise freezer pop.
That wasn't the
We're
question.
gonna try it out. We're gonna kill it. That's all that matters.
Jeff, you didn't. Well, maybe you did have that as a kid. I don't know. It might explain something. But we're saying, what did you like as a kid as your favorite ice cream from the freezer?
Oh, the push pops.
Of course.
How
Screw
hard was
you,
that?
Jeff. Screw you.
I can't see you. So
It makes all the sense in the world now. Screw off. All right, Mac, what do you got?
You know, it's got to be the ones you get the clear tubes, man. That's all I can remember. We were going to go the alcohol route because apparently we're the drunks on the show, but because we were trying to be a little different.
You did have 13 beers at noon.
Well, it was only.
I will say you guys did some good editing because it almost looks like that table was perfect and you were holding hands, but the divider is just there.
Is this button right here?
When we put that together, like, it was so weird because they were looking opposite directions. So I was just like, I wonder if I can do this and flip it. So now they're facing each other. So it kind of looks okay.
It almost
Except
looked
it does
you were
look like
holding
they're-
hands earlier.
Yeah. Well, they were earlier. So you shouldn't be surprised.
I don't think it was voluntary from Billy though.
If you watched Running Point today, you saw Billy deck, like, as hard as he could. He decked Jeff right in the chest.
Yeah.
And Jeff just went. It was bad. It was bad.
Do we all
Complete
not
shit show
doubt that
already.
Sometimes Jeff needs that though.
I don't know what he needs right now. I just spent 3 hours with him, and I feel like it's been rough. Let's talk about some youth sports, youth baseball. Dennis, you alluded to it. Districts going on right now at the Field of Dreams. A lot of stuff going on right now up there. Youth sports is some of my favorite because they're still at that age where everybody's got a shot, right? Everybody's playing because they're the next Mike Trout, they're the next Jenny Finch, they're the next whoever. From your standpoint, you're coming at it from a dad, from a coaching perspective. Why is youth sports so impactful now that you can kind of market it a little bit, you know?
Here's what I think. Ultimately with youth sports, it's the one area that you can't really bubble wrap your kid. I mean, like, obviously as a dad, you get into coaching, and some dads, and maybe for the wrong reason, get their kids in positions on a field, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, but you cannot bubble wrap your kid from failure or for success. So kids are going to strike out, kids are going to miss shots, and those little micro failures that are along the way, you can't recreate that in a lot of other places in life. So I think that's a highly important thing, that coming along with learning how to compete, learning how to hustle, learning the process, and everything that comes along with it. I hate the negative connotations with living vicariously through the kid because you think that they're going to go on to play something else and those things along the line. But I think that there's just so much opportunity for whatever it is that you're playing in this day and age to do it at a recreational level. And unfortunately, people have monetized it to private hitting coaches and pitching coaches at 9-10 years old. So capitalism has also helped to drive the adoption rate, the amount of people that are participating in youth sports because of the money factor as well. And wherever you fall kind of in the middle of that, it's phenomenal because it's structure, it's team. Last year during COVID, when schools shut down, kids lacked routine. Like, they didn't have an opportunity to have this routine And when we found out, like May 20th, I remember the date, like we're allowed to go back and play baseball. The kids had to be a certain place at a certain time. And I require my kids to pack their own bag, get their own water jug. Like, I'm the vehicle to get you there, but it's not my responsibility to remind you what time practice is, or, you got to have your spike. So it creates responsibility in extreme situations and carries it on to, what we, like we're now in a normal situation. So a lot of factors said a lot of things there, but, I think that there's opportunity. There's a lot of market factors that are driving some of that participation. And then you got kids, I'm just saying because of my own, that really have a love for competition and wanting to play sports.
So there's a lot to unpack there, and we're going to unpack every box that you just threw out there. But one of the biggest things you said was responsibility. And where do you think that line lies between the responsibility of the young athlete, the youth athlete, and the parents? Because I think that's blurred a ton when it comes to youth sports, because every parent wants their kid to succeed so much that they're willing to do anything oftentimes to allow them to succeed, whether it comes to winning first place in a tournament, getting on teams that they've been on since they were younger, and not kind of demonstrating, hey, you need to get to know other kids, because in life you're not just going to hang out with the same 5 people from the time you're 5 to the time you're 55.
Yeah, so I can't really, I can't speak for the other people in the world that are out there, but in my house, the way that I manage it in a lowly Division II role player as a college basketball player, 4-year player, finished up on a scholarship. I have nothing to gain vicariously living through any of my kids' athletics. The thing that I got that I didn't have when I was coming up playing was kind of a blueprint of how do you do this? There was nobody that I ever knew that went on to kind of play college athletics. And so that's not the end game or the end goal, but for my own kids, what I see in them is this: are they asking me to go pitch them batting practice? Are they asking me to go hit extra reps for ground balls at the baseball field? Are they out in the driveway working on their game? And when I'm checking those boxes and they're pushing me to pull away from work to go work on their game, then I'm investing the time back into them. If I'm the person that's having to throw them in the car and have to drive them everywhere in order to be able to go do this, and say you're going to go do this, I think that's the wrong approach. And then as they gravitate to certain sports, then it just becomes even more real, more competitive. I've seen it a lot. Like my kids have been playing competitively since they've been 9. The oldest is 12. And you can really see the difference between like kids that are like driven, where a kid goes to a baseball game, comes home, gets on the batting tee after the game because he didn't like the way he hit the ball, versus the kid that parents are like, I'm getting him hitting lessons, I'm getting him pitching lessons, or her, and I'm making them go. You're going to go to your hitting lessons. They're like, I got to go to hitting lessons. Whereas like my kids have never had it. I'm their hitting coach, which I'm not a very good one. But actually, DJ, you know that we've got a luxury of 2 Division I college baseball players living down the street.
That's all real nice.
I can't speak highly enough about it because I went through my kid's text message the other day, and like him and O'Shea's have text messages going back and forth to each other. So he's doing it on his own. He's a pain in the ass getting in Braden's feet and saying like, Braden, what do you think about this? But like, I think if you got a kid that's driven and doing it, you get them access. If it's the other way around, you have to. I don't know. Like it'd be hard for me to like invest that much time if I'm the one that's like.
Matt, you're nodding your head. What are you liking about that, and where's the line for you?
Yeah, I mean, as a high school football coach, I'm loving everything that Dennis just says. To me, the kids that are waiting outside the door for kids that are, hey, coach, and one of them is actually on whatever it is. Those are the kids that you can just tell, and they've usually got the parents that are kind of in the same boat as Dennis, where they're like, hey, I want to invest back in you because you're showing the interest, you're showing the determination and the drive. I laugh all the time, but my nephew and I used to have a text message going back in the day where, I would text him on some days and say to him, hey, the quarterback that's going to Baldwin Wallace next year has been up since 5:45, and he's been in the weight room for 2 hours. And he'd text me back the next day, and it'd be, hey, the guy that is selling the product that's different than yours has been up for 4 hours, and he's been making sales calls. That's the kind of stuff I love, that just kind of pushing each other back and forth. And from a parenting perspective, the parents that just are there to support what their kids are already passionate about are the ones that I just love to work with on a yearly basis.
Funny story is that Mark Metzger, I don't know if you've ever had him on the show, but he was one of the best basketball players to come out of this area. And we played against each other in high school and in college. We had this long conversation about hoops in the past year. And he's like, the major difference between kids now and generational from our generation was like, we woke up every day, and he's like, even though you're a little shit and me, he's like, I knew I woke up every day, and there's a kid in Lowville that was working on his game that forced me to go work on my game. And then we were driving ourselves to open gyms to go play in the evening. Because nowadays, kids are more skilled. They see it on YouTube. They're doing moves that we were doing in college. They're doing at 13 years old. But their parents are driving them to their coaches. Their parents are driving them to their games. And we just had this desire and this competitive factor to want to just go do it ourselves. And I try to figure out the ways to instill that in all. I'm a youth sports coach. Like, people are like, they give back with their time to United Way and to all these other great causes. I've come to the conclusion that I've embraced that, like, I'm a youth sports coach. That's what I know. I grew up playing sports. So, like, I'm big on competing, and I'm good on hustling, because that's going to serve you well. If you leave me and you go play whatever sport, you're going to be the first in a drill and the first out of a drill. You're going to be the first one there, and it's going to serve you well in life as well. And so that's what I try to instill in my kids, and not just my kids, but all the kids I coach.
Paul, from your standpoint, where's the line between parents overstepping their kids' responsibility? Well, you can talk about that with your kids in the background. I mean, where's the line for you? I mean, you're a high school coach. From that standpoint, with two young girls that are looking to climb the ranks, from their side, where's the line for you? Where's the boundary that you and Carrie set and said, you know what, we're not stepping beyond this? Because there's coaches' responsibilities, and you don't want to overstep that coach's boundaries that they've created for their players.
I think it starts as soon as you drop them off. If they sign up for something and they're going to play t-ball, or they're going to play softball, or they're going to go do an activity, is when I take them to that activity and I drop them off, that's where I stop. Because that coach is either given their time to do these instructions and be there for these kids, or this coach is getting paid, and that's their time. My time now is to sit back and be a parent and watch them, and hopefully they're enjoying it. And when they're done doing it and they want some extra help, say, hey, can you go throw something in the yard for me, or can we go do this? Then I'll give that extra help then. But when they show up to the field and they walk onto the field, they're the coaches now, not mine. And that's what I wish more people would do going forward, even as the kid progresses up further. But as Coach can attest to this, and Billy can attest to it as being a high school baseball coach at one point as well, it doesn't happen that way. Parents are hanging out on the fence, leaning over, yelling at their kid in football. Parents are very accessible for baseball, and they are right there. I mean, there's points we have to make rules. We have rules. We have a rule that you can't talk to your parents or anybody outside the dugout during a game. If you are, we're going to sit you. We don't care who you are, because we would have kids on deck. And with only two coaches, you got one at first base and one at third base, and the kids are sitting there talking to their parents. And the dad is sitting there saying, oh, you need to do it. And the next thing you know, the kid's going up there. And it's like, wait a second. Like, we're here to coach. We're here to do our job in between the lines right now. When the game's over and your kid walks out of the dugout, you can criticize your kid or tell them that they should be doing this or they should be doing that all you want. But when they walk onto that field, as a parent, that's where it should stop. Because if you think about back when our parents, I don't remember my parents ever doing that, sitting there. I mean, they might have yelled, hey, go Paul or something, good job. But they weren't sitting there going, you need to do this or you need to do that. I mean, because If I went home and complained about it, it was, that's your coach telling you to do that. Shut up, and that's long gone now. I mean,
I tell you what, man, if you think you've seen crazy, just say, hold my beer, because the next weekend is coming with something that you'll see in youth sports that will just like, wow, I thought that was nuts that a guy said F you to this person and pulled the kid out of the dugout, to now this weekend where, and I set rules for my team. Don't leave the dugout. Don't talk to your kid during the game. Number three is I won't discuss playing time or positions with any parent, and a 48-hour rule is in effect after a weekend game. But just remember, go back and read rule number 3 before you call me. So.
Yeah, that's the big one. I mean, I think coaches do have a list of rules and expectations. We're going to get to Billy here in just a moment. From my perspective, it was I think, who was it that hit this? BMAC put it up together, and he said, listen, we ask these parents if they want to coach, and they always say no. And that's the thing. When you say no to coaching, I had the pleasure of coaching T-ball this year for the first time. It was an experience, but I was pretty much by myself to do it. But when you hear these other, the whispers in the crowd of why is this person getting 5 pitches and this person's only getting 4, you want to be like, I'm there during the practices. I understand that if I pitch this person 4 and they completely whiff, they're probably not going to hit the 5th. So it's like getting their confidence to hit the ball from that standpoint, and then it moves on. It moves on to coach pitch, then it moves on to obviously kid pitch, and then moves on to all the different little league and into high school. Billy, from your standpoint, first year in a while that you've had 12 U's, what was what was your experience in trying to scale it down a little bit and just fundamentalize everything once again, and battles with parents? Were there parents that overstep boundaries, and how did you handle it?
There's always parents who, overstep their bounds, and you set rules at the beginning of the year saying, listen, we're not going to talk about. My rule has always been very simple. I'm not talking about playing time. That's my decision. That's my call. If you don't like it, then you can go pound salt and go play somewhere else, and I don't really care. I mean, I don't mean to sound like that guy, but like I can find another player that's just as good, if not better, and that's where you're going to be at. So it's real simple. We're not going to sit here and talk about, if Jeff's got a kid and his kid plays for me, I'm not going to have a discussion about your kid, DJ, over Jeff's kid. I'm not going to do that. That's not right to anybody. That's just going to stir up more problems anyway. And you set those rules at the beginning of the year, and you abide by them. I mean, the problem with a lot of coaches now is they play these games, and they don't do it on purpose by any means, but they'll sit there and they'll be like, well, yeah, little DJ hasn't been making play, and then they open the door for Pandora's box, and that's kind of where it goes. And as you stick to your guns, you're good. You're going to have a good year. Whether you win or lose the games. And I tell my guys, like the 12U, I took the 12U Astro team this year as well as the 18U team, and I said, listen, we're not here about wins and losses. I'm here. My job here is to get your kids better. I don't have any skin in the game. I don't have any kids. I'm probably one of the few that youth coaches that don't have a kid on the team. I don't have a relative on the team. I don't have a girlfriend's cousin or what. I don't have any skin in the game. So it was really simple for me to say, my job is to get you prepared to play 13U Astro. That's it. That's my job. Whether we win games or whether we lose games, my job is to prepare you for the next level and pass you off to the next coach. And the next coach can kind of figure you out. But I want to give you the best opportunity to play for our great organization with the Astro Falcons and be ready to go from here on out.
Jeff, from your standpoint, how do you get the kids going in the right direction towards their future and not exactly stammering over their past?
Basically have a short memory and have good coaches and, have good people around.
Do you have any examples that you could provide? I do.
Through the side, and they all kind of just crash into each other. I mean, look at this. Like, they didn't know which way to go. The coach was telling them to run through the paper. I mean, technically they did, but, that's not really how you do it. Like, some of them got it right.
They took the scenic route to get to that bag.
I wonder if they won the game after this.
That is the big question. But yeah, they definitely took the scenic route to get through that paper. All right, Charity, you remember last year, Coach Frankie Perez and
Jeff leading the future of America right there.
Right there, buddy. How do you get them going in the same direction? Now answer that question.
If they would have listened to me and not listened to the coach down at the other end, that the coach is not on tape, they would have ran in the right direction.
Does anybody else find that hard to believe?
No, he's passing the buck off real quick there.
Nah,
I got a 12-year-old just off screen that is just literally falling apart right now. That thinks that this is the funniest thing that he's ever seen.
There it is.
The video or the Power Hour?
The guy at the bottom of the screen throwing his, and it went viral. It was all over the place, and I had no idea that, number one, it was in South Range. Number two, I would hire that guy someday and try to. We just make fun of him a lot. So,
but
Michael Page.
Back to, is it Billy?
Yeah.
Astros 12U. Like that is the approach that we took with our travel organization. And I use that term loosely, but competitive baseball on the weekends was, hey, look, like if you feel good about going out and winning a $10 trophy over a weekend, it is about player development. Like we want to develop kids on Saturdays. Sundays we get competitive. We get a tournament. Okay, we're limited, but we're not. The emphasis, yeah, we want to be competitive in a good way. Yeah, do we want to win? Yeah, it's a lot funner to win. But at the end of the day, we want to develop kids' love of the game, and fundamentally, we want that development. And I encourage, like any parent, that we've been at this now, for 4 years, like to really look into that aspect of where they're putting winning so much as the emphasis. And it's great to win, don't get me wrong. But like the development of a player and all the things that go into that long-term success, that's hugely more important. I think more of an emphasis on all of that.
No, I'm with you 100%. I think
I'm real blessed in being involved in an organization like our Youngstown Astros, and being involved in 12U this year was a big deal for our program. And I told some of the parents before, I said, listen, I'm going to teach your kids to play the game the right way, and I'm going to help them develop. But at the end of the day, your goal is to see me at 18U and not necessarily at 13 or 14. If I see you at 18U, that means you're going to play college baseball, and we did something really worthwhile at the end of the day.
No, I'm with you. I don't know why that was so slow. I apologize. When we come back, we got to take a break, pay some bills. When we come back, I want to talk about one of the things that was in the chat box. It's number one, are you okay with girls playing with boys at a higher level right before high school? Are you okay with the score being run up? We've talked about this before, and where is that line? And we'll talk about youth baseball, youth sports in general, all in that and more coming up on the YSN Power Hour right after the break, right here on your sports. Oh, can anybody else hear them through my microphone? Because they are loud. We'll be back right after this on YSN. Come see one of the Valley's hidden gems. The Back Nine Bar and Grill on the Berlin Lake Golf Club is the perfect place for fellowship, fame, food, and fun. Check out our daily specials and ask about memberships. The Back Nine Bar and Grill on Hartzell Road in North Benton.
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer goes the extra mile to bring you the largest selection of vehicles at one convenient location. With guaranteed credit approval, I will find you the right vehicle and the right financing options for you. I am ready to go the extra mile to show you why no other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Jimmy Sutman here, director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
And welcome back to the YSN Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you, along with a few of my friends. Special guest star today, Dennis Schiraldi, the executive producer of Do Yo Live, and so much more. The marketing guru of Youngstown, as I like to introduce him. Before we get to our next topic, guys, want to let you know that there is a ton to watch on the network tonight, all at Scene Park. NABF is in town. We also have some regular season games, correct, Paul?
Yep.
Everything kicked off today at noon, so we're already past those games. We had 2 games at 12, 2 games at 2:30, and now we're on to the 5:30 scene where Dom, Ian, Alec, Eric, and no, that's it. So we've got a 5:30, 3 5:30s, and 3 8 o'clocks tonight on the network. So get your fill of baseball right here on YSN, and then it starts again tomorrow, very early at noon. You can get the NABF World Series going on all through the conclusion of it, and then next week it starts again with the 16s and 18s. So we are the official home for the NABF World Series, your sports network. Guys, Michael Page with a great question. That makes 1 today for Page, so just keep shooting, kid. He wants to know and get the thoughts on Little League coaches running up the scores in games. What's Matt, we'll start with you. What's your thoughts on all of this stuff and running up the score, and what does running up the score look like to you in a different sport?
Yeah, so, we kind of talked about it a little while back with that score out of the Alliance area where the team won 64-1 or something. It was a travel ball team, and I think it was 9U, and they were playing in their city league, just a regular season game with a bunch of hand-picked travel kids. I'm never for running up the score in youth sports. I don't think that there's anything to be learned from that. And at the end of the day, that's what youth sports is really all about, is, learning and developing as a player and, just getting better on a daily basis. I could care less as a high school coach if you're winning 9 or 8U level. What I'm more interested in is, are you developing the skills that you're going to need when you get to my level to be successful and move on to the next level? Now, where I start to be a little more okay with running up the score is when you get to those varsity level games, because at that point, everybody has had the same opportunity to develop as a player. And from a coaching standpoint, if you don't like it, let's get better.
I agree with that.
At the college level, there's no question about it. Running up the score is not a thing. It's talent disparities are real. But at the end of the day, if you don't like it, get better.
Stop them, right? If you don't like it, stop them. It's called defense.
Yeah,
Paul, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I've been on both sides. I've at the high school level, like Coach said, I've run the score up on some people before. But it was kind of just to prove a point. So, but at the little level, at the younger level, I mean, as a matter of fact, I was just talking about this with a couple of my buddies who their kids were playing in 10U, and it was ridiculous what was going on with some of the teams that they were playing against. Like when there was a kid on, the couple examples they gave me, there'd be like a kid on third, and he'd lead off third after the pitcher threw the ball to the plate. Well, after the catcher threw the ball back to the pitcher didn't get back to the circle, the kid turned and ran home to score. Or if a kid would get a single, he would actually turn that single into a double because he just kept running around the bases, knowing that, well, this kid's probably not going to catch the ball that well. And the coaches are telling him, run, let's go, keep going, keep going. I'm thinking to myself, that's not a skill that you're really teaching that kid that's going to be viable at the next level. Because you show me where at the high school level, or even at like some junior high baseball, where a kid's going to be halfway down the line at third, ball goes back to the pitcher and he takes off home and there's no throw. It's never going to happen. And you're never going first to second on a infield grounder to the first baseman, and but they're doing it just to run the score up. And if they get past that hash mark, they're allowed now to get to the next base. And it's like, they're like, we tried not doing that with my buddies were telling me. We tried not doing that with our team. But after a while, if you want to try to compete now with this team, you're going to have to do the same thing to either win the game or make the score look a little more, comparable instead of just getting run on all the time. And I'm thinking, what's the use of that? 10U, 12U, what are you teaching those kids?
To play the Pirates.
We're just going to run, and nobody's going to stop it, because at that level, a kid might not be able to catch the ball because you're just coming off coach pitch at a 10U level. And I'm thinking, that's ridiculous. But when you get to the high school level, I totally agree with Coach. The talent disparity's there. If you're better than the other team, Billy and I have had this discussion before. We were on the Power Hour talking about, running the score up on people. But, listen, if you have a chance to score runs, what are you telling kids not to do? Don't run, don't steal, hit the ball to the fence but only get a single.
Can I just address this comment real quick from Trent Conway?
Dairy.
I see it's Bring Your Kid to Work Day. It's great. So cool Billy brought his boy Jeff. Jeff, it's your daily battle with the mayor.
You're up, dude.
I can't really argue that comment. That was a good one.
I would never allow my son to wear a mustache.
Joke's on you then, Billy.
All right, Dennis, your thoughts on this?
Yeah.
Where do you go?
Man, first of all, the man rocking the mullet next to me has hammered me a number of times when I've taken my foot off the gas pedal, and he's like, "Dad, and I'm like, "It's Coach," and he's like, "Why are we letting up? We're up 3 touchdowns in a flag football game," look, Bobby Bowden said it best to Lou Holtz, right? He's like, "It's not my job to stop us. It's your job." But in youth sports, unfortunately, what happens when you get into the competitive baseball tournaments on the weekend, they set themselves up for that situation to occur because you're playing, for a pool play on a Saturday is the normal play. You're playing a doubleheader, and then based upon your record and then the run score and the run differentiation, then on Sunday, you're getting seeded for a bracket play on a single elimination tournament. And depending on how you run your baseball organization, some teams are like, we've been down before 15-0, 16-0, and then there's a stop and play because they want to check the scorebook to make sure that the runs were right because they're so concerned about if they're going to get a 1 or 2 seed going into the next day and where their pitching is in 10U baseball. And that's when I've been ready to just drop the gloves and go out and fight. Like I find it to be completely obnoxious. From a baseball standpoint, there's ways to manage it station to station with stealing bases without embarrassing the other team. I think that it's a big embarrassment when you go out in a baseball game and you tell your kids just to strike out on purpose, or even we've been on the other side of it where teams have just come out and bunt the ball, and then we've even struggled to get the kids that were bunting the ball out. One game where we were on the other side of it, we sent kids out and said that left-handed, right, that opposite hand, and that hopefully kind of evens the playing field. I was actually in a JV basketball game as a sophomore in high school, and not that I remember this exactly, right, but it was Mineral Ridge, so I'm slightly competitive, beat a 65-3. And they had a senior-laden team, so there was a lot of juniors playing JV basketball, and they didn't take the press off the entire game. If I ever get the chance, mark my words, I'm 48. If I am ever coaching basketball and we play Mineral Ridge, I still have that edge to my – but so you could do things, right? You don't have – there's absolutely no reason to at a certain point. Jim Tressel, I think – is kind of a hallmark that set a good example of like, hey, and even in big boy football nowadays, the situation sets up that you have to score. You have to score a lot of points. It's just when I get this guy sitting next to me in a youth flag football game that we're up 3 touchdowns. It's like, why are we not throwing the ball, Dad? Why are we just So.
It's like I've been on both sides of running the score up and then also losing by a lot. But if you're gonna take the foot off the pedal, you better make sure you win. Like that's
the truth.
Yeah.
That's
well,
the
I was
truth.
glad, like in college football, that they took that aspect out of it. That they used to do that. How many points did you win by? And so, because you would see that, you would see those starters staying in the game longer to run the score up back in the 80s and 90s, so that they would have, we beat Notre Dame by 52, and it was like there was no need for it. Now I'm glad they took that away, because now it's just you can base how good a team is off of other factors instead of, hey, let's just go up there and put 100 on them just because we need to win by so many points to prove we're that much better. So
I'm interested from this standpoint, guys. Is it's funny that he said if you take your foot off the gas, you better win, because with travel ball and community ball, these are two separate entities, and I think we've started to again blur the lines between the two of them, because community ball is basically where you gain your foundation to play the sport, to learn the sport, maybe a little bit slower pace than you are in travel ball, because travel ball, it's all about Sundays, it's all about the trophies, it's all about getting the experience at a higher level, so to speak. And I think community ball is trying to emulate that. And Matt, you said it. There's travel ball team that decided they were going to join a community ball program and just absolutely sit there and flex on them. Where do you guys think? And we've had this conversation before, so I'll start with Dennis. Where do you think the competitive spirit, without being carried away, starts to come in? Is it 10U, 8U? Is it T-ball? I mean, we had people that wanted to do travel T-ball, and I said, you're nuts.
I went to Field of Dreams about 3 weeks ago for our last weekend tournament. There was a big fight on the 9U coach pitch travel field. I was like, what's all this commotion about? It was 9U travel baseball. The Erie Warhawks came into town. And I couldn't imagine doing that, but I have a really strong opinion of this. Because I think that when you start with, well, they're only 9, and then they're only 10, then they're only 11, then they're only 12, and then next thing you know, the moments kind of pass them by. And I also feel very strongly about the fact that you should be able to effectively have both. Youth baseball or Little League baseball is under duress from this belief that travel is so much better and so much competitive. In many cases, it's just people that are willing to write the check that their kids are able to play with the travel organization. There's 11 to 13 travel organizations between Mahoning, Trumbull, Columbiana, and Lawrence County at every age division. So you can't convince me, even from the outside, there's that many kids that are so amazing at baseball at this age bracket that fills that team. So there's all those teams by every position. So there is a money grab situation going on. But in the same note, I'm a big believer that Little League baseball is a fabric of a community, and that's a big reason why my kids continue to play it. It's also an opportunity for them to continue to develop and play baseball and get more experience at positions they potentially may not play in a more competitive situation come the weekend. And the same note, I feel like a lot of times we tried to dumb down community baseball and we tried to take the competitiveness out of it because for whatever reason, being competitive is a bad thing. And I think that you can teach kids to be competitive in a good way. You definitely have to manage it. Again, as long as you're about the process and the development, right? Everybody's going to get an opportunity to play. But in the same note, I get really, really mad when they give the connotation to rec ball. Because like our 11-12 in our community in Poland, I think that the rec ball was like Little League baseball is like everything anybody can handle that's playing on a weekend. 11 and 12 goes from 50 down to 46 feet. And you have some kids that are 11 and 12 that are really humming it. And so, you're seeing that this week. Obviously you're seeing the best of the communities at the district tournament, this week. But I don't think that you should step away from community baseball, just for travel. And conversely, I don't think that the people that run the Little Leagues should be dumbing it down, because I have the same expectations from all my kids. Like, you're going to compete, you're going to hustle, you're going to learn how to field ground balls, you're going to learn how to hit. And by the way, as a parent, look, if your kid can't catch, they might not be able to play the infield from a safety perspective, not from a playing time perspective. So I think you could live with both.
I'm so glad that Dennis said community ball, because as a high school coach and as being affiliated with a school district within a community, I think it's so important for these kids to remain involved in their community ball teams, just to develop the relationships and the experience of playing with the guys that they're going to play with at the high school level. I'm all for kids going out and getting themselves exposed to even more, in the travel ball scene. But why can't you be involved in both, at least until you reach a certain age?
The only challenging part I'll tell you is this. I added it up. So depending on how districts ends up playing out, I think he's at about 65 games between travel and community baseball this year. My younger one will be around 50 to 55 games, and that's the challenging part about managing the load behind that. Now, the upside of the travel is this. I didn't have friends out of my community until I was probably 16, going to play, pick up hoops everywhere else. So, over the weekend, he's invited to a birthday party to, we're Poland, and we've got our rival down 224 at Canfield, and he's invited to a party with, some of the kids from his travel team that are with Canfield. And he's got friends from South Range, Canfield, Bourne. And so he's out of the Poland bubble, and he has these friends from elsewhere as well. But it's also nice, too. We have that luxury of the community. The only thing is managing that balance of the amount of games.
Absolutely.
This is going to sound like me talking out of both sides of my mouth a little bit here, but I did really enjoy, when we had our All-Star game, seeing all those guys that have played travel ball together but played for different high schools coming back together, and they've already got those relationships. To me as a coach, it's really cool after games to see my guys going up and finding guys that they know from their summer basketball league, or they know from travel baseball, or whatever it might be. The relationships is the big thing that I think travel offers the community ball has.
It's interesting. So here's who's talking.
Oh, what do you got, Billy?
Oh boy.
I am not a fan of community baseball. I'm just not. I've been on both sides. I've been in the communities. As a head coach, I've been involved in community baseball. There's just too many problems in community baseball, and it's all negative stuff. As much as we'd like to sit, in fantasy world and talk about hey, it's great to be involved in the community, it doesn't do your athlete any good to stay in that bubble. Okay, you're never able. You talk about being competitive. Most community baseball teams, and I'm just in my experience, are not super uber competitive with themselves, let alone with other communities in itself. So I think it's important if you're, and I'm talking maybe for the people who take it a little bit more serious. It's just important for you to go out and test your world and live outside your bubble. Because I countless times, and I'm from a small community, we have a lot of people from my neck of the woods who think a certain 44444 thinks that's the only thing that the world revolves around that zip code, and they've never experienced themselves outside of that bubble, so they think they're hot shit, and then they go outside and they get punched in the mouth and they don't know how to react. That's false, by the way.
Firsthand. So the beauty about our weekend team is that you try it out. You're picking the kids. You're picking the tournaments. You're controlling the environment. A lot of the bureaucracy is non-existent. And the way I look at it is that my role to play in it is there's got to be the one guy, and it's like fighting this big machine, right? It's why do I want to take this fight on? Why is it got to be me? But that's just kind of who I am, to try to hopefully make some of that difference with the actions and the kids that I bring to the table. But I hear you, Billy, 1,000%.
Yeah, I just think it's something that you need to experience if you think you got what it takes. Now, I don't want to make it sound like I'm so against community baseball. I'm not. I think there's a place for it. I just don't think it's for everybody. I think at some point, if you think you're a good player, I think you need to go experience hey, what do you like compared to the rest of the Mahoning Pack? And then if you match up, well, then that can kind of dictate the rest of your, I don't want to call it a career, but let's just, for lack of a better term, your baseball or travel ball career. can be dictated on
Paul, I'm going to kill you because all I hear is the feedback, and I keep muting you, and you keep unmuting yourself. I'm going to murder you.
Sorry.
So, Dennis, how we typically wrap things up for the Power Hour is we have a little thing that goes, what's your beef, what's your filet? Beef is your fat cut. It's you're putting somebody on blast or something on blast. Your filet is something that you want to shout out. It's the nice cut of the meat, and it's all brought to you by G. Burbick Farms. So we'll let you think about this for a moment because I'm not sure that you knew that we were going to put you on the spot like this, but this is how it goes. It's the G. Burbick Farms, what's your beef, what's your filet, brought to you, again, by our friends over at G. Burbick Farms. Visit them on the web at gburbickfarms.com or visit them on New Buffalo Road in Columbiana. Jeff got all excited because there's somebody calling in. Do we want to take this call?
Is it 6?
6.
We got to take the call.
Hang on, we're taking this call.
Uh-oh.
Hello.
Oh,
Please
you're
don't hang up.
YSN Live.
SC Data has been
I'm
trying to
here.
reach you to verify your business with Google.
There it goes. Live streaming is what we're all about. Good job, Jeff. Way to screen the phone calls. You got one job, dude. Matt, lead us off in the beef and filet, please.
Yeah, so I'm going with a filet today, and we got dumped on with a thunderstorm here in Alliance, like right as we were going on the air. And my filet is that my 21 WFMJ Storm Tracker app told me it was going to happen about 30 seconds before it happened. So hat tip to a sponsor, WFMJ Storm Tracker app, right where it's at today.
Paulie, what do you got? I'll unmute you. I can't unmute you. You muted yourself.
There. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay, good. My beef is with just, I guess, practice times with some of these youth activities. Avery is in a youth activity now. It started 2 days ago, and they're practicing 4 days a week, 2 hours a day. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, it's not that terrible. Matt's calling me right now. I'm not sure why, but I think everybody thinks I was on my phone.
Yep, everybody thought you were on your phone.
Yeah, not on my phone.
Busted!
I'm on my computer. Haha. So, no, yeah, just like, listen, it's not that hard to follow instructions for a little bit. And an hour and a half might be good. 2 hours, though, I go there and I sit, and I'm just sitting there going, what the hell am I going to do for 2 hours? Just sit here in the truck. So, yeah, it's my beef. Doesn't have to be that long.
All right, let's go with these guys. What do you got?
I'm going to go first. I'm going to say filet-ish. The phone is ringing. It's unknown name, so
just leave
I'm not going to take it. I'm going to take it. YSNlive.com. You're on the air.
What's up, brother? I just want to tell all the YSN guys that I love you. I love watching your show, and I hope you guys have a blessed day.
Appreciate it. God bless you.
You too.
That was awesome. Best call today. Hey, I wanted to just say, to Ron Potesta, hey, get well soon. Feel better, whatnot. And I also want to say, you got to step your game up, brother. Like, we were so interactive today. So you got some, listen, man, we took it over. We did our thing with Jeff, with DJ, a little bit of me, and a lot of Jeff, big boy over there.
After 2 beers, you were just fine, Billy.
Yeah. Hey, you got some stepping up to do for the takeover. It was a good show today. So I had fun.
Jeffrey, what do you have?
Well, Billy took mine, but it's the same. It was fun coming down here and spending time with you, like always, DJ. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow, hanging out with you, Paul, and Coach for the golf outing for South Range. So I can't wait. We're about to dominate and shoot like 15 under.
You said 6 under was.
Now we bumped it up 15 under.
Figure it out.
We are going 15 under tomorrow, and we're winning it.
There's a chance we don't make it through 15 holes. I'm just going to put that out there. Dennis, the floor is yours, my friend.
Hey, filet, I'll be positive. Thank you for having me a part of this today. I really appreciate it. Enjoy everything that you guys are doing. I follow along whenever I can. The production value is absolutely amazing. You guys are pulling all this stuff in and doing a great job, giving exposure to, youth sports and area sports and in general, putting them on when nobody else is. And, we're paying attention, we're noticing, and we are appreciative of that. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for stopping by. It was awesome. And here's the cool thing is we didn't get to all the topics, so now you have to come back. now you got the invitation. Like, I want to talk about girls playing in boys sports.
Notes on NLL, brother. Like, I'm ready to go.
You're going to come back. We're having you on next week. That's a guarantee. So mine is going to be filet, kind of the same road as the other two. It's tough to do a 3-hour show. And I guess I don't appreciate Ron enough when it comes to that because it's just a lot. It's a marathon. We're so used to these, and I say sprint very tongue-in-cheek because even an hour talking about stuff can get difficult at times. But talking for 3 hours, it's challenging. But talking to these guys today and having the interaction, for the entire 3 hours, it was great. It was absolutely awesome. I hope that we can do that more often, give Ron that platform so he can have comments throughout and not everybody having to call in. Because, listen, to me, call-ins are great, but they're a thing of the past. Not everybody wants to talk. Not everybody can talk when they're at work from 9 to 5 or whenever they're working. So I think getting the comments in, I think it's going to be good. We got Cactus Jack in the middle there. What's going on? Bang, bang!
Bang, bang!
To answer the mayor's question, I went to Sebring, Trent.
I don't understand why there was any doubt.
I know, right?
Ever in that. But I do want to say thank you to all of you guys, the panelists. Yeah. They say thank you to our sponsors. They thank you to everyone that was tuning in today. A special thank you to Dennis Schiraldi. Make sure, Dennis, if they want to hit you up, how do they get a hold of you, brother?
Dennis Schiraldi. It'll pop up on the internet.
Easy enough. I love it.
That's some of them don't want me to find me, so that's all good too. And in the summertime, I'm usually at a baseball field, like 8 days a week.
I love it. I love it. Tomorrow we will be live from the Raider golf outing at the Flying B, as long as it still happens. But you can catch us there 3 to 4. Ty will have Running Point 12 to 3 right here on the network. Make sure you watch some baseball tonight. Plenty of it to be had, at least at this point, as it's pouring down rain. That's it, everybody. Wave the flag.